Like with the Razor Crest before, ILM is apparently continuing the tradition of reawakening classic techniques by making Moff Gideon's cruiser not a CGI creation, but rather a practical miniature. When I first saw this thing on screen, I was immediately struck by just how real it looked. Now, that's not a super out of the ordinary response because the CGI in The Mandalorian has overall been incredibly realistic. Some of these shots look so absolutely real. They are not holding back with The Mandalorian. But something about Moff Gideon's light cruiser stood out to me. And that was no accident, because there are tons of subliminal details on this ship that combine together to communicate that it is indeed a real object and not a digital manifestation. The first thing that jumps out to me is how nothing is perfectly straight. Look at these lines. They're ever so slightly wavy and warped. These are not indicative of the results of vector-based 3D modeling. These are the results of building something by hand with relatively flexible styrene sheets. Or notice how some details almost seem to float on the surface. These tiny little pieces are separated from the surface just a little bit by a thin layer of glue. We can also see dust particles and the texture of the paint, some of which clumps at the corners and creases of the panels. These are the telltale signs of something that was lovingly crafted by hand. And it's amazing seeing this sort of thing in a production in the year 2020. At first I thought maybe this ship was just amazing CGI, because ILM does pay really close attention to this stuff even with their digital assets. Take a look at the CGI in Rogue One and you'll see a lot of the same things that I've mentioned, where they intentionally warp straight edges to give a naturalistic feeling to their structures and their ships. For instance, very few lines on the Star Destroyer are completely 100% straight, but it doesn't remotely approach the truly handmade quality that Moff Gideon's light cruiser has in The Mandalorian. But that's because I truly believe that what we're seeing here is a real miniature, and that the Mandalorian team is raising the bar for Season 2 to top the practical Razor Crest model that they built earlier. Overall, the dedication to the visuals in this series has been amazing. The creature effects, the locations, the spaceships, these are all fantastically presented, and the practical miniatures are just the cherry on top. I would love to see some official confirmation on this from ILM, because if we're indeed seeing a real practical miniature here, I really want to see it and the work that went into it. But until then, thank you all so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you next time.